Hi there, this is Dr. Sam Bakhtiar from Fitness Concepts, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I get my clients in tip-top shape. Now, I know you've probably been on my website and you've seen thousands and thousands of before and after pictures, and you're wondering, first of all, are those real? And if they are real, how does Sam do it? How do I get so many people in shape in such a short period of time? Well, the answer is simple. For you to get in better shape, a few things must happen, and they must happen consistently. Now, if you haven't read the book called The Compound Effect by Dan Hardy, the editor of Success Magazine, I highly recommend it. It has nothing to do with fitness, but it's talking about the compound effect of little things done over a long period of time, how it can compound to great success. Now, let's move away from reading and all the study material, because I honestly think that these days, too many people read too much stuff and they get too much advice, and they're on their apps putting all this information in, and they're not really exercising. So a lot of times I tell my clients, stop reading, stop putting your things in the apps, stop measuring things, because at the end of the day, don't do something that you cannot do the rest of your life. Because it's all about sustainability. It's not about who can, exercise the hardest, who can lift the most, who can run the longest or the fastest. It's who can consistently do things over a period of time. Now, I don't know where you're at in your life, but I'm 40 years old. And right now, my chief focus for me is to be able to be healthy, look good, but more importantly, I want to feel good. So if you're with me and you're on the same page, I'm going to tell you the keys of what I do here in my business to make my clients not only look good, but to feel good and be able to do it over a period of time and maintain that. At the end of the day, anyone can look good for a month. Anybody can get ready to get on vacation and look okay, but who can look good and feel good the rest of their life? That's, in my opinion, is who is the winner, right? Okay, so first thing first, in my business and what I do with my clients, we must have fun. Fun is a big factor of getting in shape, because if you're not having fun, you can have the most effective workout in the world. But if you don't like it, and if you despise being here, you don't like the workout, and you don't like the people around you, you don't like the surrounding, you don't like the music, then you're not going to do it. So the fun factor is very important. Now, some people will say, well, what if you just go in the gym all day and you goof around? Well, fun is one thing, but it also has to be effective, okay? So what I like to do is we like to be able to put fun and effective together. When you have fun and the workout is effective, then this is where the rubber meets the road and where you see amazing results. Let me have you ponder on something. Well, we know that when you go to a zoo and you see the animals, the lions, the tigers, the giraffes, it's well documented that these animals, they are depressed. And the reason it's depressed because we took them out of their natural habitat, we put them in the zoo, and we even we painted trees and we put a little false river and everything like that, but they know that's not their natural habitat. So over time, they're out of their natural habitat and then they get depressed. Now, who do you know that kind of built the zoo and kind of locked themselves into it? It's humans, isn't it? I mean, we're not designed to sit behind this desk and be on a computer all day long. We're not designed to have food delivered to us or just go to a drive-through. This is not how our body was designed. I mean, just a few hundred years ago, if you wanted to go and, eat, you had to exercise to go catch it, didn't you? And now these days, we're freaking out about not having a Wi-Fi on a plane. So this is what's called the disease of the modern man. Not enough movement and too much food. And then we wonder, how come we're getting bigger? And how come we feel unhealthy? How come we feel depressed? Again, it's because we built a zoo and we locked ourselves into it. So once you understand that mentality, is how can we now get out of the zoo? Well, the answer is simple. The answer is A, we gotta move more, and B, we have to make better food choices, and C, we have to do it constantly. We have to make it a habit. When I was a little kid, growing up, I was like 3-4 years old, I hated brushing my teeth. I absolutely hated it. My mom used to tell me, Sam, go to bed, brush your teeth and go to bed. And what I did was I'd go to the bathroom, and then I would go to bed, and I I would tell my mom I brushed my teeth. And my mom would come wake me up in the middle of the night and say, Sam, you didn't brush your teeth. I would hate it. She would wake me up and she would go make me brush my teeth, and I would go back to bed. And I always wondered as a kid, how did she know that I didn't brush my teeth? So later on, I found out that she was actually filling my toothbrush, and she knew that's how I didn't brush my teeth. So over time, she made me do it. And as much as I hated it at the time, she made me do it, and it became a habit over time. Now I'm happy to tell you, I'm 40 years old, and I never had a cavity. Now, knowing this fact, how can you apply that and to do it in moving more and eating better, right? So I always tell my clients, I want you to have 1 hour of what I call exercise time, 1 hour of me time. And it has to be a certain time, certain place every single day. Now, for me, I know that most of us are on the schedule Monday through Friday. My clients always ask me, Sam, what's the best time of the day for me to exercise? And my answer always will be the time that you're never going to cancel. So there is no right time. Some people say, oh, it's mornings better. Oh, some people say it's evenings better. There is no right time. The only time is consistency. That's the only time that really matters. The time that you're not going to cancel. You're going to be here faithfully. Now, if you exercise one day at 8 in the morning, one day at 2 in the afternoon, one day at 8 at night, one day at 4 a.m., that's not consistency. I want you to look at your calendar and look at what time of day you can consistently put away an hour of your day to exercise. And by the way, 1 hour in a 24-hour day is only 3% of time. So for you to tell me that you don't have time to exercise, that doesn't fly well with me. Everybody has 3% of the time to put for themselves. And again, a lot of people will come up to me, well, I have family, I have work, I have to give this to this, and I have to do this for that. And you have to remember, if you can't take care of number one, you cannot take care of anybody else. That's why I always like to use an analogy when you get up on a plane and they ask you, what they say, when the pressure drops, before you put a mask on anyone else, put a mask on yourself, then you can help everybody else. So if you don't feel good and you're not healthy, how can you give to everyone else in your life? So you gotta take care of number one. Now let me ask you a question. How many days a week do you take a shower? How about this? How many days a week do you brush your teeth? I know it's funny, but I know you probably laugh and chuckle. I hope the answer is every day. But let me ask you another question. About 500 years ago, only about 500 years ago, did our ancestors brush their teeth every day? No. There was no such a thing as toothbrush. Did our ancestors take a shower every day? There was no such thing as running water. So basically, 500 years ago, these weren't normal habits. Now these days, I bet you can't just one day just get up and just go right to work without taking a shower and brushing your teeth. You just won't feel right. I don't think any of us just all of a sudden can go, and none of us have a paper and a calendar that says, okay, let me not forget, let me brush my teeth. Oh, I almost forgot, I almost left the door, I almost left the house without taking a shower. So let me take a shower, let me go back. This is something that we do automatically, but this is not something that we're automatically born with, like breathing. This is something that we automatically have learned to do. It's a learned behavior. So why can't we do that with exercising? We can, we simply can. All we have to do is build a habit and do it over and over and over again at the same time. And then pretty soon it becomes part of who we are, kind of like part of our DNA. Now, for me, since I went to 8 years of school and I always had to get up and work and I had clients to train, for me, 4 o'clock in the morning was the only time that I had for many years to be able to get my own workout in, because I either had college, school, and after that I had to go study at the library. And even when I, graduated and I had work to do, I had clients and I had, my life to take care of. So 4 o'clock in the morning was always been my time to work out and train. Now, these days, now that I have my own business and I can pretty much do whatever I want, I don't have to get up at a certain time. 4 o'clock in the morning is still the time that I'm programmed to work out. So I want you to program yourself 1 hour a day to put aside and say, this is going to be my time. Yes, there's going to be days that you're not going to be wanting to go, you want to get up and go to the gym. There's days that you're going to have every excuse in the world not to do it. But again, I want you to put that time aside in the time that he said nobody gonna bother you. That's gonna be your time. Treat it like it's work. Treat it like you have a boss. You cannot miss that time, and you have to be here or at any place that you want to report to, but it has to be the same place at the same time, Monday through Friday. Now, one thing that I want to talk to you about is the importance of breakfast. Now, many studies have been published. This is a very well-known fact that people who skip breakfast, they tend to gain weight and they tend to be obese. Now, why do you think that is? Well, let's take a look at it, physiologically. So imagine that you go to bed and you sleep like 6 to 8 hours. Now you're in a fasted state. You haven't had food for 6, 8, 9, 10 hours. Now you're gonna get up in the morning. Now you don't have any appetite. You get up and you run. You don't do anything, and you maybe have a power lunch. And then all of a sudden you come home after you did all these activities. You eat the whole refrigerator, and you go to bed. And then you wonder, well, I really only had one meal. How come I'm gaining weight? Well, your body is only designed to absorb so many calories at one time. So if you all of a sudden ingest 2,000, 3,000 calories in one setting, your body's going to use whatever it needs, then it's going to store the rest. So it's so much better for us to realize that we definitely have to have breakfast, and we have to spread our calories throughout the day in smaller, frequent meals, so that our body's going to be able to absorb what it needs and not have enough left over to store. Makes sense, doesn't it? But for some reason, even when we're trying to do good, we get up in the morning, we almost have a very, very small breakfast, and we pretty much don't eat anything too much during the day because we're trying to be very, very strict. And then later on, we crash and we eat the most amount of food when we're the least active. One thing that I want you to understand is that if you want to lean up, you have to eat like a king for breakfast and eat like a peasant at dinner. When you're trying to lose weight, let's first differentiate. Anybody can lose weight because most of your body is actually made up of water. 2/3 of your body is made up of water, then the rest is muscle, fat, and connective tissue. Now, we want to make sure the weight we're losing is from fat and not muscle. Okay? The reason for that is that muscle is contractile tissue. 1 pound of muscle on the average burns extra 50 calories per day. 1 pound of fat doesn't really burn anything. It just jiggles. So the art of losing weight is to keep the muscle or maybe gain some muscle and strip away the body fat. And it's so important when we go on what we call a training program, which consists of increased activity and maybe decreased calories, which puts you at a caloric deficit, that we maintain our muscle tissue. And the only way we're going to maintain our muscle tissue by making sure that we have more protein in our nutritional plan. So that's why I recommend 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight divided into 6 meals. Let me repeat that. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight divided by 6 meals. So for example, if you're 150 pounds, then I want you to have 25 grams of protein over 6 meals. And each small frequent meals I recommend to be 2.5, 3 hours apart. And the best sources of protein I have outlined here in the blue for you. So you can download this and it'll give you the types of protein that I recommend the most. Now let's talk about carbohydrates. Okay, you need carbohydrates. For some reason, everybody thinks carbohydrates is a 4-letter word. Carbohydrates are actually essential for you to burn body fat. Without carbohydrates, your body is not going to heat up enough to burn body fat. So you need the carbs. But the question is, what kind of carbs and when? Well, if you look at carbohydrates and what I call starches are for long-term energy. So it makes sense for most people that you need most during the day for breakfast and maybe some for lunch, but not so much at dinner time and past that, because you're not going to be able to use it you're not going to use it for energy, so therefore you might be able to store it. So I recommend a 0.5 gram of starchy complex carbohydrates per pound of body weight, divided into first 2 major meals, breakfast and lunch. So if you look at this, these are your carbs. So I recommend that over the first 2 meals, breakfast and lunch, here in orange. Now, as far as fats are concerned, now technically, if you cut out all the fats in your diet, you could have fat deficiency. But I gotta be honest with you, over the last 25 years that I've been doing this, I haven't seen anybody in North America have fat deficiency. Because fat is gonna seep through your chicken or your fish, your oatmeal, and everything pretty much has fat. But technically you could have, fat deficiency. So that's why I want you to limit your fat to about 30 grams a day, and you can divide that into all the different meals. So 30 grams of fat per day is what I recommend. My secret weapon to losing body fat and to making myself feel full and make my clients feel full is green leafy vegetables, fibers. As far as fibers are concerned, there are no limits as long as you're not putting ranch or butter on it. You can eat raw green vegetables or even cooked steamed vegetables as much as you want. The darker greener, the better. And the key to good eating is eating foods that have a lot of nutrition, don't have a lot of calories, and make you feel full. And I don't know of anything better than green leafy vegetables and lean proteins. And here, I've listed all the green leafy vegetables that I recommend for you. And like I said, there is no limit. The more, the better. Now think about it for a second. You can go and buy a 2-pound bag of broccoli, which has 5 servings of 25 calories. So 125 calories in about a pound of broccoli. And if you try to eat that, and I think you're gonna get sick, and I think your jaw muscles will get tired. And out of 125 calories, most of it cannot even be used because their fiber just go right through you. And I'm pretty sure a big 1-pound bag of broccoli will make you pretty full. Now let's just say you get a Snickers bar, about 300 calories. It'll take you about 7 seconds flat to eat it. And not only that, you're still hungry, but it only took you 7 seconds to eat it versus a pound of broccoli, which just has maybe 20 calories. And it took you probably about 5 or 6 minutes to eat it. That's why I say good quality food makes you feel full, don't have a lot of calories, but has a lot of nutrition. Of course, if you have any kind of conditions, any kind of medical conditions, I want you to consult with your doctor before starting this. Okay, let's now talk about the importance of water. Now, water is pretty much everywhere in your body. Believe it or not, even 1/3 of your bones are made up of water. Every reaction in your body requires water. Without water, your body can only survive about 2 to 3 days. Without food, it can go about 30 or 40 days. So it's so important for us to replenish and drink plenty of water. Now, I'm not a big fan of drinking your calories, like from juices or from milk or from anything that has calories, because again, we want to make sure that every bit of calories that we do ingest actually goes towards our satiety centers and make us feel full. So for example, if you're really, really hungry and you drink a tall glass of orange juice, it really doesn't do anything for your hunger. But if you ate something that has about 100, 120 calories, it's going to make you feel full. So I'm a big advocate of everything that you drink should have 0 calories. So for me, it's always been water and sweetened tea or sweetened green tea. Those are my favorite. Now, a lot of people, that's their ritual. They have to have coffee. And there's actually nothing wrong with coffee as long as you don't put a lot of sugar and cream and other caloric stuff into it. So every once in a while, if you need a cup of coffee, I'm okay with it. I just don't like to make a coffee into a weight gainer and add all kinds of calories to it. So let's put it all together. What do we need to do to have a successful body transformation? It's very simple. Number 1, we gotta make moving a part of our lifestyle. And I recommend putting 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, for you to report at a certain place at a certain time, and that's going to be what I call a non-negotiable. What I mean by non-negotiable means there is no negotiation. You can't miss. I want you to treat it like a really important job that you have, that you cannot miss it, because if you miss it, you'll get fired. And when you go to it with that mentality that you have to feed your family and you can't miss a certain, being somewhere, then that's going to happen. And over time, it's going to become a part of your DNA, like it is for me working out at 4 a.m. So movement, same time, same station, 5 days a week. Now, how many days a week should you work out? Well, working out is just moving. Working out is not necessarily being in the gym. I recommend being at a facility 5 days a week, and 2 days, which is the weekends, do something fun outside, do outside activity with the family. going for a nice walk, going for a nice stroll. But as long as you have a beating heart, your lungs are working, you should be moving. Number 2, it's very important for you to make sure you eat breakfast and eat a meal every 2.5, 3 hours after that. It's very important for you to have protein every 2.5, 3 hours when you're on a nutritional plan to lose body fat and gain muscle tone, because you want to conserve your muscles while you strip away the body fat. The art of losing body fat is to keep the muscle and strip away the fat. Okay? Again, we talked about, muscles that contract all tissue. That's why you have muscle cramps. You never have fat cramps. So anything that contracts automatically burns more calories. The more muscle tone you have, the faster your metabolism is. The faster your metabolism is, the more calorie you can burn throughout the day, the more body fat you burn. And don't forget to make sure you're having fun all the time while you're doing this. Remember, this is not a race. This is a marathon. So we want to make sure that not only you're exercising and you're eating better, you still have to have a life doing it. So if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I look forward to seeing your transformation.